I know you deserve an update on the 31. I've been slacking. Hadn't posted in a while. I have been busy doing a lot of different things. I swapped the motor. Of course, the other motor was a mock-up 350, right? But this 6.0 LQ9 motor out of a Cadillac Escalade that I got from a buddy of mine, Nick, and I had it in Speed Beetle. I kept walking past it and thinking, man, it sure would be cool to just put this motor in this car. So I abandoned the Speed Beetle project completely, pulled the body, took this motor, bought adapter plates, and put this in, and I'm doing some pretty trick custom stuff with the way the air intake obviously is. Let's get into it. So I got these adapter plates, and what I liked about those is they were somewhat adjustable, so I could get the crank as close to the suspension as I needed, and that way I could go ahead and get enough spacing for the body on what I want. I'm going to put a piece of flat bar over the the bell housing, just to cover up just a little bit of that. But just so you know, they do not make lake style headers for a LS motor for hot rods. They make lake style headers for 350s, Windsor Ford motors, just about everything else, but not an LS. So here's a trick. This is for a Ford Windsor motor, these lake style headers. And the only difference between your ports is about a 1/16 of an inch. That's it. So all I had to do was extend it just to get it out here where I wanted it, buy a flange for an LS, just a flange by itself, and stretch the first header and the last header out just a little bit, and then link them all up where it needed to go. So those are Ford headers on a Chevy LS motor. So that's how I made that work. And then I took a Holley high ram and flipped normally the intake throttle body's coming out here to your filter, but I didn't want that big ugly filter just hanging out in the front of the car. This is what I want to see from the front of the car. I just didn't want that big filter hanging down in the front, because I don't know, it just doesn't look right to me. So my buddy Blaine come over and he said, man, flip it around and let it dive into the hood, or the cowl, I should say. So I did that. I flipped it around, got the throttle body, well, before I had the throttle body, and I actually had a smaller filter that dove into the hood. So I went to Walmart and bought a dog bowl. Here's the remnants of the dog bowl. So I took that, and at the time it kind of worked out. This was before I had the throttle body. This is a Phytech throttle body. I popped it right into there, not really thinking about my mass airflow sensor. And once I figured out I really didn't have enough room, it looked pretty cool, because I had it piped from the tube straight down into this bowl. I welded this into the cowl, and the filter literally just sat right down in the bowl, and it looked really cool. But once I got to dealing with the mass airflow sensor and really kind of figuring out where it needed to be, I thought, man, I'm gonna flip it around and get the filter up top. So I cut into the visor. I still got some more to work on. I still got to shave out just a little bit more here. And I found a silicone 180 to where I could swoop it around and I built this bracket to go over the top of the high rim. So I laid this out in CAD, did my bend. It's just mocked up right now, and so this will line up. I'll get it right where I need it. And I bought this intake tube from Speedway, and of course I used pieces and parts from other cars and whatnot so that I could make all this work. But so I got it turned. It's gonna lock in, and it's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna weld some studs. These are gonna stick out. It obviously bolts in right there. Then all I have to do is make the shape. It comes up, out, and over. And then I want it to kind of skinny down to the back. And then I'll put a grill in the front like my other air intake. And it'll be big and beefy and just nasty looking. So anyway, that's the plan. But before I get on that, I may lay that out in CAD a little bit later tonight, but before I get into that, I'm gonna take a VW Ragtop, and I'm thinking I'm gonna use it on the top of this car. What happened to Speed Beetle, you may ask? Well, the body is sitting on an old ball joint front end pan, still chopped. I have the rag mechanism out of this car. I'm just gonna leave this one in this body, I believe. And I had it up for sale for a while. Nobody seems to want it, but it does have the coveted oval, 57 oval in the back. I believe I'll cut that out and sell it, because I don't know that I'll use it on anything. And then I'll use the mechanism out of the roof. Now, what did I do with the chassis? Well, I took the old MG body that I had off of that pan that you just saw outside on the Speed Beetle, and I put the MG body on this pan. And this pan is it's flat panned, it's highly modified. The tunnel, it's got a 6-inch tunnel raise. Anyway, I got it all mocked up. I made some brackets to attach in the back. But this will be another really wild looking ride. I've got a fiberglass. It's so low that I'm just gonna fiberglass in the doors completely. And then I've got to add to the front to go down and over the front airbag. And so I'll be doing a video on glassing all this in. And then I'm gonna make a custom windshield. Obviously it's gotta be super, super low, probably 6 inches, 5-6 inches. I'm thinking maybe some cool looking motorcycle mirrors on it. I wanna go all black on everything except the body. Here's a VW motor. It did have a LQ9 in the back, but I took that, so I'm just gonna bolt this back up, just make a nice, decent little VW motor. Bolt it up, black that out, black wheels, black mirrors, black windshield. It'll be a cool ride. So I had this big VW clip, VW Beetle old Ragtop. These are hard to find. And I thought, instead of going all the trouble of fabbing up this big flat sliding top, it would be cool to have a Ragtop in the top of this with the bows. As long as I could get the shape to look right. I've actually got 2 of these clips, but I have a set of bows and mechanism. That's the part that's really hard to find. These are hard to find enough, but the mechanism and everything to lock it down and all of that is super hard to find. So I've actually got 2 of these. I'm gonna hack this up and see if I can get it to fit. And if I'm successful, even if I have to patch in some metal around the outside to kind of fill it in, and as long as it don't look egg shaped on the top, then I think I could make it work. So I'm gonna attempt it. I'm gonna go ahead and shape on it. Really just to see if it's gonna work for now. And then I'm gonna get back on this project later. I'm just gonna go ahead and shoot video now to see if I can get it to work, and that way I can patch it in with when I actually, if it works, tacking it in and finishing the job. So All right, quick little commentary. So I already had this all welded in, ready to go. So I'm just going to work around it. I shaped this so that I could put a piece of flat in here and go straight down. So I'm just going to basically French in where my tank lid is, and then I'll float the rest of this out with metal all the way around this corner. And so I've got to do this corner of the car a little bit different from that other side. Other side is going to be a little more simple because it's flat all the way around. I say flat, it's on a slope, but you get the picture. So all I did, took a couple pieces of 16 gauge and just made a couple pieces of flat. I'm just going to take those and bend them on a radius. I'll find something here in the shop. I got a old compressor. It's got a good radius on it that I think will work. And I'll shape that, go ahead and tack it all the way around out past where all this metal is going to go up against it. And once all this metal butts up against it, and then I float out this last piece, I'll copy that other side and just kind of mirror it over, and then manipulate the poster board to come out here where it needs to go, and just kind of float it in so that when all this is body worked, it'll be free floating, and it'll just have this little half wrenched area where it needs to go. And then I'll put my bows and everything up here. I'll put this piece in. This bow is, well, this whole mechanism was from '57. So this piece of metal is pitted really bad, but it gets covered up with material. But I'm just going to modify the corner of it. As long as I'm able to bolt it down in these holes where it's supposed to, then I'll be good with that. I'll be able to get up under here and get to them and do what I got to do. So anyway, that's next. Oh, and I forgot to mention, up here, while I had this off and modified what I needed to modify, the way that I'm treating this silicone sleeve that goes down in here, I had these drawn up and water jetted out to go around this sleeve or this silicone, and I got a little more to cut. So I went back far enough. I'm going to do the same thing here as I'm doing back there on the gas tank lid. And so, yeah, this is a really thin piece that's I'm just gonna tack in. And so when this goes on, I'm just gonna sex bolt it together with the opposing piece on the bottom side to dress it out. And I'm cutting the metal back far enough that it covers the edge. That way, if I want to powder coat these like a different color, I can. I might not, but regardless, it just trims out this just raw cut edge, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna do the same thing here, kind of as I did back there, and this will be more finished. It's all about the details. got it locked in pretty good. What takes time is just the little tedious crap like that. You know, just all the little bitty things that, I mean, you don't have to go this far, right? I mean, it's up to you, but I just want it to look purposeful. And you can see how slowly but surely cut it in. So this will be plated in down the sides all the way to a certain point. It'll probably get skinny here and then widen back up as it goes around this corner. But you can tell it's actually taking shape. And you know, I was worried about it being too bubble looking at the top, but it actually gave it a little more shape because it was really flat. Now that I've got it to this point, it's not bad. From the back it looks really good, especially when I plate in the rest in the back. I'll probably continue to do the metal work all the way to the point where I'm ready to tack the whole thing in. You can see I left this one piece. I left this wide because I still got to shape all around this all the way to a certain point. I don't know how far it's going to go around this corner. Probably because this is going to taper down all the way to here and then float back out. So I'll tack all this in, tack that in, so it'll be kind of Frenched on one side, and then all this, you just push down on it. I can tack all that in. Then I'll plate this from you know, I don't know, inch and a half to 1 inch maybe across here, and then you'll body work over that. And then again right here, it's going to go from like 2 inches down to 1 inch right in here. We'll see how all that turns out. I just kind of wing it, really. But yeah, so I'm gonna call it a day, and we'll just do a part 2 of the Ragtop and whatever else I'll work on. I do want to start on that. You can see I flipped that back around so that I can work on that, but I'm gonna flip that intake back around, fish my silicone 180 up through the visor, set all that back up, and then I'll have to mock up how I'm going to do the whole intake, the big filter cover, if you will, and then that'll do it. Coming along, one thing at a time. See ya. One, 2, 3.